In the world of Warhammer 40k, the Golden Throne, which sustains humanity's emperor, consumes 1,000 souls every day. But that's rookie numbers compared to what the goblins of Magic the Gathering go through. You see, I'm sick and tired of poor little 1/1 goblins getting thrown into the sun for value. You don't want to be a goblin in Magic the Gathering. And here's why. It starts at birth. There's no stork coming by to deliver beautiful little goblin babies. No, it's more like seahorses, where the men are the ones giving birth. Let's look at Krenko Mob Boss. He's 2 and 2 red for a 3/3. He's the most famous goblin commander there is. You tap him and you make X 1/1 red goblins, where X is the number of goblins you control. There's also Krenko Tin Street Kingpin. When he attacks, you put a +1 counter on him. Then you create a number of goblins equal to Krenko's power. There's also Krenko Baron of Tin Street. When an artifact is put into the graveyard from the battlefield, you can pay a red mana. If you do, you make a goblin. As you can see, Krenko is basically the Nick Cannon of goblins. But he's not alone. There's also Muxus, Goblin Grandy. He has 6 mana, and when he enters, you look at the top 6 of your library and you put all goblins onto the battlefield with mana cost 5 or less. That's pretty fun. There's also Goblin Instigator. Enters the battlefield, makes some goblins. Siege Gang Commander. Enters, makes some goblins. Pashalik Mons. Enters and makes some goblins sometimes. Krenko Command. Create some goblins. And guess what? It's Krenko again. He pops up all the time. But making the goblins isn't the issue here. It's what you sick freaks do with them. But before we get into that, if you can't already tell, I'm the most unhinged deck builder on the internet. So if you've got a weird, wacky, silly, goofy idea for a commander deck, challenge me in the comments down below. The one with the most upvotes, I have to build. And while you're down there, hey, leave a like and subscribe. I would appreciate it. And this program is brought to you by viewers like you. Over on the Patreon, where you can get deck roasts and deck reviews, or I'll build a custom deck just for you. Thank you so much for supporting. Now wake up and back to the video. The French Revolution and the Reign of Terror had a staggering body count of almost 30,000 people put to death officially or executed without a trial / dying in prison. And that's honestly an average day for the goblins in Magic the Gathering. You see, the most common strategy you'll find is a thing called Goblin Bombardment. 1 and a red for an enchantment, you sacrifice a creature, and Goblin Bombardment deals 1 damage to any target. This is in just about 70% of red goblin decks. There's also Sling Gang Lieutenant, 3 and a black for a goblin. He makes a couple, but you sacrifice a goblin, target player loses a life, and you gain 1 life. It's in 75% of decks, and would be probably in more if it was in red, but it's black. There's also Pashalik Mons, 2 and a red. When this guy or another goblin we control dies, he deals 1 damage to any target. You can pay 4 mana, sack a goblin, make 2 more, and he's in 6-7% of decks. What a freak. If you can't tell, there is a pattern. Stuff like Krenko is going to make goblins, but for what? Just to be catapulted at our opponents for the equivalent of a mosquito bite of 1 singular damage? If I can be honest, you disgust me. You have no issue throwing goblin after goblin into the blender as long as you're getting some minuscule amount of value from it. Take Skirk Prospector, for example. 1 red mana for a goblin 1/1 with such a horrific line of text. Sacrifice a goblin, add 1 red mana. Now those newborn 1/1 goblin tokens you've been focused on making are not even people anymore. They're just walking red mana pips, ready to be scream extracted like in Monsters, Inc., because that's all they're good for in your eyes. There's also Goblin Churgeon, 1 red mana for a goblin where you pay 0, sack a goblin to regenerate a target creature. Now those goblins, those cute little 1/1 babies that were just born, are not people. They're little health packs, ready to be used to save someone who's deemed more important, like Krenko, the very goblin who gave birth to those 1/1 goblins in the first place. And no parent should have to bury their child. But that doesn't matter to you, goblin players. Exactly. There's Goblin Trashmaster, 2 and 2 red, sack a goblin, destroy target artifact. Now those little 1/1s, they're not even goblins. No, they're removal spells on a body, ready to throw themselves at the portal to Phyrexia. But who should have to sacrifice themselves? A newborn 1/1 goblin who has yet to experience the pleasure of the battlefield? Or a Goblin Trashmaster who can honestly sacrifice himself to stop Phyrexia from invading? But will he make that tragic sacrifice? No. He'll throw that 1/1 token that was just born under the bus with no remorse. But it doesn't have to be that way. You can change. Instead of filling up the graveyard with cute little 1/1 goblin tokens in order to extract them for red mana to regenerate your important creatures in air quotes, or to remove artifacts, celebrate the birth of these beautiful 1/1 goblins with something like Impact Tremors, 1 in a red for an enchantment. Whenever a creature you control enters, this enchantment deals 1 damage to each opponent. Celebrate the life of these goblins that are coming in with stuff like Perforos, God of the Forge. Whenever another creature enters under your control, Perforos deals 2 damage to each opponent. General Crete, the Boltbringer. Whenever 1 or more goblins you control attack, you make a goblin. And whenever another creature you control enters, General Crete deals 1 damage to each opponent. Witty Roastmaster enters the battlefield, deals 1 damage to each opponent. Agate Instigator, whenever another creature enters, this creature deals 1 damage to each opponent, and you can make more of him. Molten Gatekeeper, whenever another creature enters under your control, it deals 1 damage to each opponent. That's what I mean. You want more value from these goblins? I'll give them to you. Just keep them alive, I beg of you. Wirt, the Raid Mother. She's 6 mana, but when she enters, she makes 2 1/1 red and green goblin warriors. But each red and green instant or sorcery has Conspire, meaning we can tap those goblins as long as we keep them alive to copy our spells. Now we get double the amount of spells. But maybe you want even more value for keeping these beautiful goblins alive. That's fine. We got Battle Hymn, 1 in a red for an instant. You add a red mana to your mana pool for each creature you control. There's also Brightstone Ritual, 1 red mana for an instant. Add a red to your mana pool for each goblin in play. There's also Mana Echoes, 2 and 2 red for an enchantment. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield, you may add an amount of colorless mana equal to the number of creatures you control that share a creature type with it. That's exponentially going to be more mana than Skirk Prospector could ever make. And Howl Squad Heavy, 2 in a red for a Goblin Mercenary with a lot of text. I don't want to read it, but maximum speed you can tap to add a red for each goblin you control. That is insane. You don't need to blend them up 1 at a time for 1 singular red mana. Keep them alive. Maybe you need even more value. I got to convince you to keep those beautiful 1/1 goblin tokens alive. Well, we've got Munitions Expert. Black and a red for a goblin 1/1. When it enters the battlefield, you may have it deal damage to target creature or planeswalker equal to the number of goblins you control. There's not a lot of ways to damage planeswalkers in black-red, so you just got to hit them with the goblins. It's nice. There's also Goblin Warstrike, 1 red mana. That's so cheap to deal damage equal to the number of goblins you control to target player. That's 10 damage, 15 damage, 20 damage right to the dome. Volley Veteran, 3 and a red for a Goblin Warrior. When this creature enters, it deals damage to target creature and opponent controls equal to the number of goblins that we are keeping alive. There's also Mob Justice, 1 and a red. It deals 1 damage to target player for each creature we control. Keep those goblins alive. They are not fodder to be sacrificed. And if you want more value, I'm done. Psych, come on, son. You already know there's more value in these goblins while they're alive than as they are dead. We've got Raid Bombardment, 2 and a red for an enchantment. Whenever a creature you control with power 2 or less attacks, Raid Bombardment deals 1 damage to the player or planeswalker that creature is attacking. Shared Animosity, whenever a creature you control attacks, it gets +1/+0 until end of turn for each other attacking creature that shares a creature type with it. That's so much. It's going to get buffed up and they're going to wipe the board. It's going to be amazing. Banner of Kinship, 5 mana for an artifact. You're going to choose Goblin when it enters, and it's going to get a bunch of fellowship counters, and all those goblins are going to be stronger. They're going to be unionized. It's going to be beautiful under the Banner of Kinship. There's also Coat of Arms, but I don't want to do the math on it there, but it does a lot. It buffs up your goblins a hella amount, and that's just how you win. And sure, maybe a goblin or 2 will fall in combat, but it will do so surrounded by comrades who love and care about it. And maybe, just maybe, we are goblins in our own way. Little creatures who are doomed to be exploited, not for mana, artifact removal, or to regenerate a target creature, but for corporate profits. Meanwhile, our mob boss only cares about pumping out more and more children to throw into the blender that is capitalism. So to combat that, we need to work together under a banner of kinship. After all, that's the only way for our impact to be heard. If their ears are to the ground, we will make them bleed. But also, if you run Krenko, Thornbite Staff, and Goblin Bombardment, or if you run something like Krenko, Skirk Prospector, and Goblin War Chief for infinite shenanigans, I'm going to hunt you down. You are dead to me. I hate you so much. I'll kill you with a sword and or gun and or other weapon. That's not a joke. That does bring us to the end of the video, though. So if you liked it, hey, leave a like. If you subscribe it, hey, subscribe. Shout out to all my patrons on Patreon. If you want to join them, you can get deck roast, deck help, custom decks, etc. all there on the Patreon. And for my weekly Twitch streams over there on twitch.tv/Quips&Guac_ I believe so. It's in the description. Check it out. There's also my Discord linked in the description down below as well. Would love to have you down there. What are your thoughts? Are you going to give up the way of goblin sacrifice and try and keep them alive for as long as you can? You know, have I changed you as a person? Are you changed for wicked for good for twice the Wicked movie? Anyway, I'll see you later. Peace out.